Welcome one, welcome all, to a world where anything's possible. This is Love versus Fear, Episode 2 of Truth 101, a place where you can start to know the truth. Today, we are going to discuss further in depth the 7 natural law transgressions, the true 7 deadly sins. A right is any action that does not harm another being. All beings in the universe have equal and infinite rights. A wrong is any action that initiates harm in another being. Key word initiate. And we will go in depth on the self-defense principle later in this episode and in future episodes. No being has the inherent God-given right to initiate harm on another sentient being. In doing so, a being is initiating in violence, breaking natural law principles. For those of you who don't know, natural law defines a broad scope of principles. Principles are truths that come first, inherent in nature, and baseline reality. These principles are truths that create freedom and infinite possibilities. Principles are required to know, understand, and apply in order to create higher levels of freedom. The principles we will be discussing in depth on this show will not be limited to the Hermetic principles, the 7 cosmic laws, momentum, thermodynamics, electromagnetism, inertia, gravity, quantum mechanics, general relativity, alchemy, astronomy, sacred geometry, psychology, philosophy, most importantly, morality, and also other natural phenomenon. It's important to understand these natural law principles above and teach others, because our freedom is only possible with knowledge, understanding, and application of these natural law principles. Principles are things that are most important in life. So without further ado, let's discuss the 7 natural law transgressions against natural law principles. The true 7 deadly sins. These transgressions are actions that go against natural law. We will have free will to break nature, to break natural law, but we can't do so without consequences. The whole reason for life is for growth in consciousness. When we break natural law, our growth is stunted. And if we continue to ignore natural law principles on a collective level, humanity's spiritual energy at its essence will become stagnant and eventually get obliterated. And that's the direction we are headed in as a species. As a collective, we are headed into more suffering, slavery, and chaos. By not understanding the truth about our reality, and by continuing the breaking of natural law principles, we are only stunting our own growth from infinite freedom, balance, harmony, and love. So my job is to explain how to not break natural law, and it's very, very simple. Once we learn the 7 natural law transgressions and truly understand them and stop acting in accordance with them, we will cease to harm others, ourselves, and continue to grow in consciousness, continue to grow in love. So there's only 7 ways you can break natural law principles. There's only 7 ways you can harm another being. And that's murder, assault, rape, trespassing, lying, coercion, and ultimately theft. These 7 natural law transgressions are the root cause reason why we have negative karmic debt or self-inflicted suffering. The only 2 reasons why we suffer is because we believe in something that's not true and we refuse to believe in the truth. It's that simple. We refuse to know the truth mainly out of cowardice. We are afraid of knowledge, because with knowledge comes responsibility, and most people do not want to be responsible for their own actions. What most people don't know is, in baseline ultimate reality, you can never, ever be responsible for anyone else's actions but your own. Refusing to believe this simple truth will only bring you more suffering. Now it's time to go in depth to illuminate the 7 true deadly sins even further. We must turn to not only the definition of these words, but also the etymology of them. By understanding the etymological root of any word, we understand where that word truly comes from. You get the full breadth, breadth, breadth of what the word was intended to mean, and what the word truly means in actuality. We will talk about words etymology all day, every day on this show, and why cultures distort the original meaning in order to hide their effects. Because when you understand words create worlds, freedom, and balance. Most education systems don't educate, they indoctrinate and institutionalize in order to keep people a dumbed-down herd, so they're easy to manipulate. They teach kids what to think and not how to think. Using the true scientific method, the trivium, which we'll discuss further in future episodes, all these methods of manipulation and mind control will be discussed in future episodes as a focal point on this show. With simple knowledge of mind control techniques and basic psychology, you will be a lot better off and not so easily manipulated. But I digress. Enough said on that. Back to the etymology and the meaning of the 7 natural transgressions. Let's start with murder. I can't believe I have to tell people in 2020 murder is always wrong. No one will ever have the right. Do not mistake it with killing, because sometimes you might have to defend yourself. Murder is the unlawful initiation of the stealing of another sentient's life. You cannot say, I murdered a rock. Although, I'm sure at some bacterial level, you can measure a conscious being. So destruction of nature is not in any way, shape, or form ever a right. When you get a society infested with the poison notions such as moral relativism and solipsism, you get a people who view human beings in all their infinite value as mere objects, tools for their own will. Pure evil, the slavery of humanity. Pure evil will murder you in order to maintain control. Murder, from Proto-Indo-European metro, meaning killing. It's an action, when taken, is evil. Evil is the destruction of freedom. And to understand freedom, you need to understand the infinite value of all life. All the 7 sins destroy and restrict the infinite potential all life has. Rape is the violent act of stealing another one's own will. It originates from the Latin root rapere and raptum, meaning to snatch, to grab, to carry off, to seize by force, or abduct. All of these, as above listed, is rape of one's spirit, life force, energy, creative will, infinite value, which you do not have the right to do. The word assault comes from the Latin ad, meaning to, and saltere, or salere, meaning to leap, physically attack, sudden violent onslaught. Historically and quite literally, assault includes meaning words or actions coupled with present means to affect them harm. Battery is an actual blow, and if you intend for there to be harm and or don't stop evil when you have the power to, you are as morally culpable, if not more morally responsible, for the consequences of evil actions. Evil only spreads when good people do nothing. And the biggest battery that fuels evil is the ignorance. That's what ignorance truly is. It's ignorance from good people. Most people are good, but under certain circumstances, they're under a veil of ignorance. Ignorance of morality and understanding of wisdom, of how to act and learn right from wrong. Trespassing, from the Latin root trans, meaning passer or go by or to pass. Pass meaning enter unlawfully, immorally. A transgression is what it literally means. You're taking security of their living space away from them, the domain in which they live and operate in. Lying is the false speech, untrue for the purpose of misleading. From Old English, ligan, meaning deceive or betray. Withholding truth is considered lying to certain degrees. Nobody can claim ownership of the truth or be the arbiter of the truth. The truth was born to be free for all, and that's the truth. Only two reasons people withhold the truth is one, in order to control you, or two, because they think it will protect you. But even if their intention is out of protection, because it is based in fear, it cannot be right or true, for the truth will always be better than not knowing at all. And that's the moral compass, the emotions. If something is based in fear, the lowest energy can vibrate at, existing at, as a stagnant based in fear vibration, it is wrong. Based in love, the highest energy can vibrate at, it is right. Not telling you to think with your emotions, I'm telling you to understand why you feel the way you do. And if it's a feeling of love that's listening to your heart with true care, imagination, true wisdom, and knowing what to do in the situation when it occurs. If it's based in fear, it will only lead to further confusion, chaos, and destruction. Self-knowledge is true knowledge, and it will truly lead you to higher levels of understanding, growth in consciousness, and freedom. With knowledge and understanding comes true wisdom, to know how to act, and that's true power, to influence the world in accordance with natural law, achieving greater levels of harmony, tranquility, and balance. Lying leads to a violent expression of moral reprobation for all those who follow its order blindly. The lie takes away people's ability to make informed decisions. You're quite literally stealing the truth from people, which you have no right to do. Coercion is the persuading of someone to do something through violent force or threats. You're taking their free will away, from Latin co, meaning together, coercion, restrain, or constrain by force or authority. No one has the right to control or govern another's own will through threat or violence. Ultimately, stealing as the deadliest sin. Stealing property or experience from another being is always wrong. One way to avoid stealing experience from ourselves or others is asking ourselves the question, what do we deserve? And we must strive to only take what we need, not get greedy and attached to an imbalanced, unhealthy, addictive way of life. Not stealing the experience away from the earth and all of its micro and macrocosmic organisms and ecosystems. Hate to break the news to you, but you live on this world, and if it goes, so do you. So limit your contribution to litter and pollution that destroys the infinite beauty around you. So all this can be summed up, really, to one sin, and that's stealing. All rights are property rights, and you have to understand that which is not yours, what is not your property, do not take. You have no right, and when you do, you will receive karmic consequence that you can measure. From your mistakes, you can learn if you choose to stop being ignorant of the truth. So do not take through violence. Plain and simple. Every form of wrongdoing is someone committing the theft of someone's natural rights, whether they're taking physical things that don't belong to them, or rights that don't belong to them, or freedom or life that doesn't belong to them. Stealing will always be wrong, and people who do it because they are mentally sick and unhealthy, They believe in a false ideology such as moral relativism or solipsism, thinking perception's reality, or that they are the arbiters of truth, or that they're God, who can magically determine rights and take away rights of others without consequence. This is a severe form of cognitive dissonance, a brain imbalance caused when you believe two contradictory ideas relative to each other. Trust me, we'll discuss in further detail on poisonous mental, spiritual, and physical diets that cause imbalance, disease, and insanity. So, quick recap. All forms of immoral or wrong behavior are forms of theft. All moral behavior can be summed up in one sentence. Do not steal. If you're not committing theft of things that don't belong to you, you're not doing immoral behavior. If you're not acting with violence in order to harm others, you're not in the wrong and you have a right to take that action. The highest level of spiritual enlightenment is understanding we're all one, and the illusion of separation is caused by a gap in the conscious-based psyche and the unconscious-based psyche, closing the gap between what is non-consciousness and what is unity consciousness, or in other words, what is love and what is fear, is what the spiritual journey is all about. It's what life is all about. The quest for truth, freedom, balance, harmony, and love is what this show's all about. Knowing and understanding what to do in the world is wisdom. In order to be wise, you must understand the difference between right and wrong, and live in the right, and know the situation will always be wrong if you're causing harm to another being. To elaborate more, I've created what I call the ultimate trolley dilemma. The ultimate trolley dilemma, if you're not familiar with the trolley dilemma, you can just Google trolley dilemma. I'm not going to go in depth on that right now, but what I've created to be called the ultimate trolley dilemma is a situation where you die. You're dead. And your body, your soul leaves your body. You're sure of this. You've just felt the experience of death, and you're in a room or you're in a space where God and the devil are talking to you. And they say you have this one choice. You can rape this baby. And when you rape this baby, the best possible outcome for every universe, every being, everything that has ever existed, ever to be imagined, will happen. No more suffering, no more hell, no more pain, the best possible thing ever will happen. And if you don't rape this baby, the worst possible thing will happen. Everyone will be raped for eternity and then cease to exist, and just the worst thing you can ever imagine will happen. No matter what, you know this is true. This is God and the devil talking to you, telling you you have this choice. What are you going to do? And for the people who say, I'm going to rape that baby, I'm telling you, you are wrong. Alright? This is the ultimate trolley dilemma. Comment in the comment section what you would do and why. And we can further discuss why, ultimately, raping of any form, in any circumstance, breaking these 7 natural law transgressions, no matter what, will only lead to a world full of chaos and suffering. Why build a utopia off of a baby who was raped? But either way, leave in the comment section what you would do so we can discuss further in depth why it's wrong. Alright? So, ultimately, that's all I have for you this week's show. Next week, I'll be going over what I've learned to be the most important principles of enlightenment, or natural law principles, including the non-aggression principle, the self-defense principle, the principle of simplicity, the principle of freedom and morality, and the most important natural law principles. So until then, I hope I've given you a lot to contemplate on. And just remember, in the seemingly infinite journey called life, life isn't about finding answers. It's about finding questions to lead you to the next big question. Zin Uru. All life was born to be free. Let there be light. Evil seeks to obfuscate the light into darkness, the right into wrong, to confuse true morality with moral subjectivity standards, and in the end, evil's goal will fail with the understanding and spreading of true natural law principles. Peace.